Most people believe success is about hard work alone. But tell me, have you ever seen a man working day and night, struggling, yet still broke? Effort alone is not the answer. It's the mindset behind the effort. The poor man works hard and stays poor because his thinking is poor. The rich man works hard and becomes richer because his thinking is different. Stay with me, because today I'm going to teach you how to trick your mind into success. And once you learn this, you'll never think the same way again. Most people have the wrong idea about money. They think it's about luck. They think it's about background or circumstances or some secret formula that only a few people know. But the truth is, money doesn't chase people. It follows value. And if you want more money, you have to become more valuable. That's where it starts. Not with the money, but with you. Here's a shift in thinking that will change your life. Most people go out and say, I need to make more money. But that's the wrong approach. The question is not, how can I make more money? The right question is, how can I create more value? Because you don't get paid for the hour. You get paid for the value you bring to the hour. And the more valuable you become, the more wealth you attract. Think about it. A janitor and a brain surgeon both work hours in a day, but the surgeon earns far more. Why? Is it because life is unfair? No, it's because the surgeon has invested years in becoming more valuable, learning specialized skills, solving complex problems, and offering something that the marketplace considers rare and important. The market doesn't reward time, it rewards value. So how do you shift your mind from chasing money to attracting it? First, you must understand that money is a reflection of who you are. If you want to increase your income, you must increase your value. That means learning more, developing more skills, and solving bigger problems. The marketplace pays for solutions. The bigger the problem you can solve, the bigger the paycheck you'll receive. Let me give you an example. There was a young man I once knew who wanted to be rich. He said, I just want to make more money. I told him, money is easy if you understand the principle. Just go find a way to create value. So he started small. He noticed that people in his neighborhood were always complaining about how dirty their cars were, but didn't have time to clean them. So he started a car cleaning service. At first, he did it himself. Then he hired others. Then he added more services: waxing, detailing, engine cleaning. Before long, he had built a successful business, and the money started flowing in. But it wasn't magic. It was value. Here's another truth about money. Money is neutral. It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care where you come from. It will flow into the hands of those who create value, and it will leave the hands of those who don't. That's why so many lottery winners go broke. They never learned how to create value, so the money they received had no foundation, and the moment it came, it disappeared. Now, some people say, oh, I don't have opportunities, I don't have resources. But let me tell you something, opportunity is everywhere if you develop the right mindset. A man with the right mindset can take $1 and turn it into 10. A man with the wrong mindset can take $1,000 and lose it all. Wealth is not about what you have in your hands. It's about what you have in your head. So, how do you start? Simple. Start asking, what skills can I improve? What knowledge can I gain? What problems can I solve? Every day, work on becoming more valuable, read more books, learn from mentors, take courses, develop expertise. If you make yourself more valuable, you'll never have to chase money. Money will chase you. And one final thought, money is not the goal. Growth is the goal. The money is just the result of who you become. So work on yourself more than you work on your job. Work on your skills more than you work on making money. Because when you become valuable, wealth is inevitable. Most people fight discipline because they see it as painful. They say it's too hard, it's too much work, I don't feel like it. But that's where the mind plays its biggest trick on you. The mind is wired for comfort. It wants the easy path, the path of least resistance. But success? Success demands discipline. And here's the secret. You have to trick your mind into loving it. The key is in how you see it. Most people look at discipline as suffering, as something they're forced to do. But what if you shifted your perspective? What if, instead of saying, I have to do this, You said, I get to do this. That small change changes everything. Because now, discipline is not a burden, it's an opportunity. An opportunity to grow, to improve, to become more. Let's take a simple example. Imagine two people who wake up at 5 a.m. every morning to work on their goals. One of them says, I hate this. I wish I could sleep in. The other one says, I'm grateful for this extra time to build my future. Same action, different mindset. Guess who's going to win? The one who embraces discipline not as pain, but as power. And let me tell you, discipline is the price of success. You either pay that price now, or you pay the price of regret later. And regret? Regret is expensive. Discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. You miss a workout today, it's easy. You skip reading that book today. It doesn't seem like a big deal. But those small choices add up. And one day you wake up and realize you've lost years to excuses. That's when regret hits, and it's heavy. Now here's how you trick your mind into loving discipline. Attach it to your identity. Don't just say, I want to be rich. Say, I am the kind of person who is disciplined with money. Don't say, I want to be fit. Say, I am someone who enjoys training my body. The mind follows identity. If you see yourself as disciplined, you'll act accordingly. I remember a man who wanted to save money, but struggled with it. He said, I keep spending. I don't have discipline. I told him, change your self-talk. Every time you save $1, say, I am the kind of person who builds wealth. He laughed, but he tried it. And you know what happened? His habits changed. Because instead of forcing discipline, he started seeing himself as disciplined. And when you see yourself differently, you act differently. Another way to make discipline easy, focus on the reward. The brain needs motivation, so give it one. If you're saving money, remind yourself of the freedom it will bring. If you're learning a new skill, imagine the opportunities it will create. The more you focus on the benefits, the easier discipline becomes. Now let's talk about momentum. The hardest part of any discipline is getting started. But once you build momentum, it gets easier. That's why the first step is crucial. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Just start small. Read 1 page a day. Save $1 a day. Wake up 5 minutes earlier. Small disciplines repeated daily create massive success over time. So, if you resist discipline, you'll be forced to face regret. But if you embrace discipline, success becomes inevitable. It's not a punishment, it's a gift. It's not something you have to do, it's something you get to do. And once you shift your thinking, you'll never see discipline the same way again. Most people are trained from childhood to think like employees. Go to school, get good grades, find a job, and work for a paycheck. That's the mindset we're given. And while there's nothing wrong with earning a wage, here's the truth. Wages will make you a living, but profits will make you a fortune. If you want financial freedom, you must trick your mind into thinking like an entrepreneur. The difference between wages and profits is simple. Wages are what someone pays you for your time. Profits are what you create by delivering value. And let me tell you something. There's no limit to profits. A job will pay you what they think you're worth. But when you generate profits, the market decides. And the market rewards those who create value. Let's take an example. Two people work at the same company. One takes his paycheck, spends it, and waits for the next payday. The other takes a portion of his paycheck, invests it, and starts a small side business on the weekends. Maybe he sells a product, maybe he provides a service. At first, the profits are small, but over time, his mindset shifts. He stops thinking like an employee and starts thinking like a business owner. And once that happens, the game changes. Now, some people say, I don't know how to start a business. That's the wrong question. The right question is, how can I create value? Because value is what generates profits. Even kids can understand this. Imagine a boy who finds an old bicycle for $5, cleans it up, fixes the tires, and sells it for $20. That's profit. And that's the beginning of financial independence. But here's the problem. Most people are afraid. They say, what if it doesn't work? What if I lose money? And that fear keeps them trapped in the wage system. But successful people, they train their minds differently. Instead of seeing risk, they see opportunity. Instead of fearing failure, they embrace learning, because every failure is just tuition for success. I once knew a man who wanted to escape the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. He started small, bought used items, cleaned them up, and resold them. At first, it was just a few extra dollars. Then he started reinvesting his profits, learning about business, expanding his reach. Within a few years, he was no longer dependent on a paycheck. His business covered his living expenses. And the best part, he had control. No one could tell him how much he was worth. Now, let me tell you the greatest trick of all. Your job can be your best investor. Instead of seeing your paycheck as your only source of income, see it as seed money to build something bigger. Use it to develop a skill, start a side business, buy assets that generate income. Every great entrepreneur started somewhere. The key is to stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like an owner. And let me be clear, this isn't about quitting your job tomorrow. It's about shifting your mindset. If you start looking for ways to generate profits instead of just wages, opportunities will appear everywhere. The internet, real estate, investing, freelancing. There are endless ways to create value. The question is, are you willing to change the way you think? Because here's the truth. If you only rely on wages, you will always be limited. But if you build a system of profits, you create freedom. And freedom is what wealth is all about. Most people live by the wrong financial formula. They earn, they spend, and if anything is left over, they save. But that's not the way to wealth. The way to wealth is to trick your mind into seeing money differently. Instead of spending first and saving later, you must learn to control money before it controls you. Now, let me give you a simple formula. One that, if followed with discipline, will change your financial life forever. I call it the October 10th 1070 rule. It's a way to organize your money so that it works for you instead of against you. The first 10%, that's for active capital. This is money you put into your own small enterprises. Maybe you start a side business. Maybe you invest in tools that help you develop a skill that generates income. This 10% is what builds your ability to create wealth. Most people never set aside money for active capital because they don't think like business owners. But if you can shift your mindset and see yourself as a creator of wealth, you'll begin to understand why this 10% is so powerful. The second 10%, this is money you lend, invest, or put into assets that grow over time. You let other people use this money and they pay you for the privilege. Maybe it's a high-yield savings account, a rental property, or a stock that pays dividends. The goal here is simple. Make your money work for you. Wealthy people don't just earn money, they put it to work. The third 10%, that's for giving. Yes, giving. You see, wealth isn't just about accumulation, it's about contribution. There's something about giving that changes you. It keeps you from becoming greedy. It reminds you that money is a tool, not a master. Maybe you give to charity. Maybe you help a struggling family. Maybe you support a cause that matters to you. But giving will change your relationship with money. It will strengthen your mindset and open doors you never imagined. And the last 70%, that's for living expenses. This is where most people go wrong. They spend 100% or more on their lifestyle and wonder why they never get ahead. But if you can discipline yourself to live on 70% of what you make, financial independence becomes inevitable. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but I don't make enough to do this. Let me tell you something. If you can't manage $1,000, you won't manage $10,000. If you can't manage $10,000, money doesn't change habits, it magnifies them. If you don't learn to be disciplined with a little, you will never be entrusted with more. I once met a man who made an average salary, but he applied this rule. He wasn't wealthy when he started, but he had one advantage: discipline. He put 10% into a small side business, 10% into investments, 10% into giving, and he lived on 70%. At first, it didn't seem like much, but after a few years, his active capital turned into a thriving business. His passive investments started growing. And most importantly, His giving kept him grounded. Within a decade, he was financially independent. Not because he made millions, but because he controlled his money instead of letting it control him. The secret is consistency. The biggest mistake people make is waiting for a big breakthrough before they start managing money correctly. They say, when I make more, then I'll start saving and investing. No, you won't. Because wealth isn't about how much you make, it's about how you manage what you have. If you can shift your thinking and trick your mind into following this formula, financial freedom won't be a dream, it will be a reality. Most people never think about money in terms of power, but it's exactly what it is. The question is, do you want to be in control or do you want to be controlled? Because make no mistake, when it comes to money, there are two types of people in this world, lenders and borrowers. And the borrower, as the saying goes, is always servant to the lender. Now, what does that mean? It means that every time you take on debt, you put yourself in a position of obligation. You are no longer in control. Someone else is. The moment you sign that loan agreement, the moment you swipe that credit card without thinking, you are working for someone else's wealth instead of your own. And if you continue down that path, you'll spend your life paying interest instead of earning it. But what if you could trick your mind into thinking like a lender instead of a borrower? What if, instead of always owing money, you positioned yourself to be the one collecting it? That's how wealth is built. The secret is learning to delay gratification, to save and to invest in a way that puts you in control. Let me tell you a story. I knew a man once who worked an average job, making an average salary. He never made a fortune overnight, but he understood one simple principle. Control your money or it will control you. While his friends were financing cars, taking out loans, and living paycheck to paycheck, he did something different. He lived below his means. He saved. And little by little, he started lending. It started small, just a little bit invested in a business venture. Then he bought a property and rented it out. Then he found opportunities where people needed capital. And instead of being the one borrowing, he became the one providing. Year after year, his money worked for him instead of the other way around. Today, he has financial independence, not because he was lucky, not because he made millions in a day, but because he shifted his mindset. See, wealthy people think differently. While most people ask, how can I afford this? Wealthy people ask, how can I make my money work for me? Most people look at a paycheck and think about what they can buy. Wealthy people look at money and think about what they can invest. That shift in thinking makes all the difference. Now, some might say, but I don't have enough to lend. I barely make enough to get by. Let me tell you something. If you can save $5, you can save 50. If you can save 50, you can save 500. It's not about the amount, it's about the habit. The first step is breaking the cycle of debt. The second step is learning how to make your money work for you. Start small. Maybe it's investing in a skill that allows you to generate income. Maybe it's putting a little aside each month into an asset that grows over time. Maybe it's simply resisting the temptation to finance something you don't need. Whatever it is, the key is discipline. Because the truth is, wealth isn't about how much money you make, it's about how much you control. And here's the real secret. Lenders don't just control money, they control time. Think about it. The person in debt is always working to catch up, always one step behind, always struggling to stay afloat. But the lender has freedom. Freedom to make choices, freedom to take opportunities, freedom to live life on their own terms. So the question is simple. Do you want to be controlled or do you want to be in control? The choice is yours. Most people see money as something to spend. The paycheck comes in and before they know it, it's gone. Spent on things that provide momentary pleasure but no lasting value. But the wealthy see money differently. They see every dollar as a seed, something that when planted wisely will grow into something far greater. And if you can trick your mind into seeing money the same way, you'll change your financial future forever. Think about this. If you plant nothing, what will you reap? Nothing. But if you plant a seed, water it, and give it time, one seed can turn into a tree, and that tree can bear fruit for a lifetime. Money works the same way. Every dollar you save, every dollar you invest is a seed that, given enough time, will grow into financial security, freedom, and abundance. Let me give you an example. A young man once decided to put aside just $10 a week at the age of 15. Now, $10 doesn't seem like much. It's the price of a couple of meals, a movie ticket, or a few cups of coffee. But what happens when you invest $10 a week consistently, year after year? With the power of compound growth, that small habit turns into hundreds of thousands, even millions over time. The key isn't how much you start with, it's how consistent you are. See, most people make the mistake of thinking that wealth is about big wins, but it's not. Wealth isn't built overnight, it's built through small, smart decisions made consistently over time. That's why compound interest is often called the eighth wonder of the world. It works silently, invisibly at first, but over time, it creates results that seem almost magical. Now, I understand the temptation to spend is strong. When you have money in your pocket, it's easy to think, I deserve something nice, or I'll start saving later when I have more. But the truth is, later never comes. And the best time to plant a seed was yesterday. The second best time, right now. Here's the trick. Shift your mindset. Instead of looking at money as something to be spent, look at it as an opportunity to grow. Before you buy something, ask yourself, is this taking me closer to wealth or further away? If you can train your mind to think this way, you'll begin making different choices. Instead of spending on things that disappear, you'll invest in things that multiply. Let me give you another real example. There was a man who started with just a few $100s, and instead of spending it on something temporary, he invested it in a small business. At first, the returns were slow, but over time, that small business grew. Then, he reinvested his profits, and it grew even more. A decade later, he had built an empire. Not because he had a lucky break, but because he understood the principle of planting seeds. See, wealth isn't about luck. It's about mindset. It's about seeing opportunities where others see limitations. It's about planting seeds instead of consuming them. It's about understanding that small efforts, consistently applied, create extraordinary results over time. So here's what I want you to remember. Every dollar you earn is a seed. You can plant it, or you can consume it. You can make it grow, or you can let it slip away. The choice is always yours. But those who choose to plant will one day wake up to a harvest they never dreamed possible. Most people sigh when the bills come in. They see them as a burden, an obligation, something to dread. But let me tell you, if you want to trick your mind into success, you need to change the way you see paying bills. Instead of frustration, develop a mindset of gratitude. Instead of resentment, see it as proof that you're growing, that you're trusted, and that you're moving forward financially. Think about it. When you pay a bill, what are you doing? You're reducing your liabilities, clearing up your financial obligations, and proving that you're responsible. And responsibility is one of the greatest attractors of wealth. Money flows to those who know how to manage it. The better you handle small amounts, the more you'll be trusted with larger amounts. That's why one of the best financial habits you can develop is to not only pay your bills on time, but to do it with a sense of pride. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people. One dreads paying bills, avoids them until the last moment, and complains about every expense. The other pays with confidence, knowing that each bill paid is another step toward financial stability. Who do you think is more likely to build wealth? The second person. Why? Because their attitude attracts success. They handle their obligations well, which means they'll soon be trusted with bigger opportunities, more resources, and greater financial rewards. You see, money has rules, and one of those rules is this. The person who proves they can manage a little will be given more. It's a simple principle. If you can't handle a $500 bill, how will you handle a $500,000 investment? If you constantly avoid financial responsibility, why would wealth find its way to you? Now, I understand some bills feel frustrating, but change your perspective. Instead of thinking, I have to pay this, shift it to, I get to pay this. That means you had access to a service, a product, a home, an education, a resource. Paying your bills means you're in the game, you're making things happen, you're moving forward. Think about a person who owns a house. They have a mortgage to pay, But that mortgage is an investment. It builds their credit. It increases their ownership. And over time, that house appreciates in value. Now, compare that to someone who avoids responsibilities, dodges payments, and lives in financial chaos, who is building real wealth. The trick is simple. Shift your attitude. Instead of seeing bills as money lost, see them as money managed. Instead of seeing them as a burden, see them as a stepping stone. If you pay your bills with the right mindset, you're sending a signal to yourself, to the financial world, and even to your subconscious that you are responsible, that you are capable, and that you are ready for more. So the next time a bill comes in, don't groan. Smile. Pay it with confidence, knowing that every responsible action you take is moving you closer to the financial freedom you want. And when you master that mindset, you'll find that money starts flowing into your life in ways you never imagined. Most people live their lives by default, not by design. They follow the crowd, take the easy path, and wonder why success never finds them. But let me tell you something. If you follow the majority, you will get the results of the majority. And where does the majority end up? Struggling, stuck, frustrated. The secret to wealth is simple. Stop thinking like the 97% and start thinking like the 3%. Look around. The majority complain about their job but never develop new skills. They want more money but never learn how to create value. They say they want success, but they spend their time watching television instead of reading books that could change their thinking. And here's the truth. If you do what the majority does, you will get what the majority gets. If you want more, you have to become more. The first trick to rewiring your mind is to separate yourself from the average. And I mean that literally. Stop listening to the advice of broke people. Stop taking financial guidance from those who haven't built wealth themselves. If you spend all your time around people who have poor money habits, you'll absorb their thinking without even realizing it. Instead, start surrounding yourself with people who are going places. You don't have to know millionaires personally, but you can read their books, you can listen to their speeches, you can study how they think. If you fill your mind with the habits and strategies of the top 3%, your thinking will shift. And when your thinking shifts, your results will shift. I remember talking to a young man who told me, I want to be successful, but none of my friends are interested in wealth building. I told him, then you have two choices. Stay with them and stay broke, or change your environment and change your life. He started reading books, attending seminars, and listening to successful people. And within a few years, his mindset was completely transformed. He started his own business. He built a network of mentors. And while his old friends were still complaining about the economy, he was creating his own economy. See, the biggest trap of the 97% is comfort. They don't want to step outside of what they know. They don't want to challenge themselves. They want security, not opportunity. But wealth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from growth. So here's the trick. Train your mind to love discomfort. Get excited about learning what others avoid. While the 97% are spending money on things that lose value, start putting your money into investments. While the 97% are wasting hours on entertainment, start using your time to gain knowledge. While they're making excuses, you're making progress. Success is predictable. If you think like the masses, you will live like the masses. But if you make the conscious decision to think differently, to act differently, and to separate yourself from the crowd, you will create a life that the 97% never will. And one day, the people who doubted you will ask, how did you do it? And you'll smile, because you'll know the truth. You stopped thinking like them, and that made all the difference. Success isn't an accident. It isn't luck. It isn't reserved for a select few. Success is something you attract by the person you become. If you develop the right habits, the right mindset, and the right disciplines, success becomes inevitable. It's not a question of if, it's only a matter of when. Most people treat success like a lottery ticket. They hope, they wish, they wait. But that's not how wealth is built. You have to train your mind to see success as a direct result of your daily actions. Every small step you take in the right direction moves you closer, If you act, save, invest, and develop yourself daily, wealth will come. Not by luck, but by design. The trick is to set a goal so big that it pulls you forward. The right goal should excite you, but it should also make you a little uncomfortable. If it doesn't stretch you, it's not big enough. See, goals aren't just about what you get. They're about who you become. If you aim to make $1 million, it's not just about the money. It's about becoming the kind of person who can earn, manage, and multiply $1 million. I remember a young man who told me, "I want to be financially free." I asked him, "What's your plan?" He didn't have one. He thought financial freedom was just something that happened if you worked hard enough. But hard work alone isn't enough. You have to work smart. You have to be intentional. So I gave him a challenge. Write down exactly how much money you want to make in the next 5 years. Then break it down. How much do you need to make per year, per month, per week? What skills do you need to develop? What habits do you need to change? See, most people never reach success because they never define it. If you don't know what you're aiming for, how will you know when you've arrived? That's why setting clear, specific goals is critical. Once you've set your goal, here's the next trick. Train your mind to believe it's inevitable. Stop saying, "I hope I become successful." Start saying, "If I keep doing the right things, success is just a matter of time." Think about it. If you save and invest consistently, isn't wealth inevitable? If you study and practice a skill every day, isn't mastery inevitable? If you develop strong relationships and build a network, isn't opportunity inevitable? The only way you fail is if you quit. But most people never reach success because they allow doubt to creep in. They get impatient, they expect overnight results, and when they don't see immediate progress, they give up. But here's the truth. Success is like planting a tree. You don't see results in a day, a week, or even a month, but if you keep watering it, keep nurturing it, one day it breaks through the soil, and then it grows faster than you ever imagined. The key is consistency. Small, disciplined actions add up over time. If you're consistent, success isn't a possibility, it's a certainty. And once you truly believe that, your actions will reflect it. You'll start making decisions like a successful person. You'll start speaking and thinking like a successful person. And before you know it, you'll wake up one day and realize you've become one. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't intelligence, talent, or luck. It's action. Success doesn't come from thinking about it, wishing for it, or planning it endlessly. Success comes from doing. But here's the challenge. Your mind loves comfort. It loves to delay, to procrastinate, to say, "I'll start tomorrow." And that's where most people get stuck. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect feeling. But success doesn't wait. The key is to trick your mind into taking action right now, not later. Here's a simple trick. Tell yourself, just do it for 5 minutes. That's it. Don't commit to an hour at the gym, just 5 minutes of exercise. Don't commit to reading an entire book, just 5 minutes of reading. Don't commit to writing a business plan, just 5 minutes of brainstorming. The hardest part is starting, but once you begin, momentum takes over. I knew a man who wanted to start investing. He told me, "I'll begin when I have more money." I asked him, "You have $10?" He laughed, "Of course." I said, "Then start with 10. See, the habit of investing is more important than the amount. If he waited for the perfect time, he would never begin. But if he tricked his mind into starting small, he would build momentum. And momentum creates confidence. That's another secret. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. Every time you take action, even a small step, you prove to yourself that you can do it. And the more you act, the more confident you become. Confidence isn't the cause of action, it's the result of action. Think about successful people. Do they always feel motivated? No. They act whether they feel like it or not. A wealthy businessman doesn't wake up every day excited to work. He works because he has trained himself to take action. A top athlete doesn't always feel like training. He trains because he's built the discipline to do it anyway. One of the greatest lies we tell ourselves is, I'll do it when I feel ready. But you'll never feel ready. The only way to be ready is to start. I had a friend who wanted to start speaking in public, but fear held him back. He told me, "I'm just waiting until I feel more confident." I said, "Confidence won't come first. Action comes first. Confidence follows." I challenged him to give a 2-minute talk to a small group. Was he nervous? Absolutely. But after that first talk, the next one was easier, and the next one. And now, he's a professional speaker. What changed? He took action before he felt ready. So here's your challenge. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Trick your mind by starting small, 5 minutes, 1 step, 1 decision. Because the more you act, the more confident you become. And the more confident you become, the more success becomes inevitable.